Oh, we might as well talk about other most important person in my life because it's their birthday today. It's my manager Mike's birthday today. Can we get a W in the chat from Mike Power? W in the chat. W in the chat for Michael Power. W in the chat for Michael Power. If you guys are really fans of the stream, or you really watch the stream, or you're really big community members of ours, you know Mike does not pop in. Mike don't watch the stream. Mike doesn't even know what goes on in the stream unless Eris tells him later. Mike doesn't go in the Discord. Mike doesn't participate the same way we do. Mike does the real work. Mike does all the behind the business shit. Mike's the one locking down every cool thing that's happening. We're talking about two big topics today, so I don't want to overwhelm you. We just got off of the parent topic, which is very tough for a lot of people. But let me tell you what a good friend can do in your life. Let me tell you what someone who's your best friend can fucking do to change your whole life. Holy shit, Mike moves in silence. You got to understand. Mike Power was somebody that I met on the internet when I was still at Berkeley and I was finishing up going to college, and I started to do this DJ thing. My music started to get out there. I was graduating school, and people would hit me up who were other DJs and other people making similar music to me and be like, yo, I love this shit. Yo, I've been playing your records out. Yo, I was at this fucking Diplo show the other night. I saw him play your record. Here's a video. Just started getting cool with people, but I was still in Boston. I hadn't taken my first LA trip yet. I was still in Boston, and I was working on all this like new electronic music. I'd been making beats for years. I'd already done Schoolboy Q. I'd already done Mac Miller. I'd already done Ab Soul. I'd already done Kendrick. I'd already done a bunch of random shit at this point. Dom Kennedy, Smoke DZA. So I'm thinking I'm a rap producer, but I've probably made total like 10 grand on rap after doing it for years and years and years and working on a ton of songs and this and that. Wasn't making much money. I know 10 grand's a lot of money. 10 grand's not a lot of money to make on like 50 songs. So I was a rap producer. People at school knew me that I was like working with TDE and this and that. So like it was what it was. But I started doing electronic music and everything started moving really, really, really fast. And in that time period, I was getting hit up by all these other people who ended up turning out to be like Flosstradamus and turning out to be, you know what I mean? The DJs that you guys know now, we all were just hitting each other up, sending each other records, this and that. This is like where I first found out about Bauer and RL Grime and all this shit. And you're hitting all these people up, trying to send them tracks, trying to go see them play. And it was, I will say, as much as I resent a lot of the scene now that I went through, it was an interesting time. And it was really, really like exciting to see just people making beats, instrumental beats, and then going and playing them and people losing it. And no one even asking, oh, why there's no artist on this, why there's no rapper. I never went to a festival in my life before I started making electronic music. I did not understand. I didn't know who Skrillex was. I didn't know what Benga and Scream was. I didn't know who fucking Rusko was. I didn't know what none of this shit. So tonight is happening. RL Grimes happening. Bauer's happening. All this shit. And I started this thing. All these people in LA are hitting me up. Yo, I'm this DJ. Yo, I'm this person. Yo, I work with this person. And I remember getting hit up by someone named Mike Power. And they were like, yo, I work with these other DJs. I know you guys been talking. When you come out to LA, let's hang. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, get the fuck out my DMs. I don't know you. Like, yo, I'll see you when I'm in LA. If you've never been to LA and someone says some shit to you, like, yeah, when you get to LA, let's kick it. You're like, fucking douche. How do you know I'm gonna be in LA? Like, I've been left my state 2 times. When people are just like, yeah, I'll see you in LA. Like at that point in my life, I didn't get it. So Mike Power was like, yeah, I'll see you when you get out here. He's always right. A week later, I was out there. And I remember being at this party, and I'm at a party with like Boys Noise, Kill the Noise. Skrillex was there at one point. Diplo was there at one point. 12th Planet was there. Like I remember so many random DJs, you know, and people who I was all like, oh, these people are all fucking killing it. I'm at this party. I'm just like walking around. We got invited by like Dana United and 12th Planet and like maybe Kill the Noise invited us. And so we're like, all right, like we'll pull up. We get there and it's just a lot of fucking DJs and managers and like industry people I don't know and LA people I don't know. And it's my first trip to LA. I'm sleeping on my homie's couch. First trip ever to LA. I'm probably 21, 22. haven't graduated school yet, about to graduate school. I was a senior. And I'm at this party, and this dude comes up to me, and he's like, yo, what's up, man? I'm Mike Power. And I'm just like, why did this dude just say his whole name? First thought. I was like, first of all, bro, like, you've DM'd me on Twitter. Like, I've already seen your profile pic. I know who you are. And why did you just say your last name? And his name's Mike Power, so it just sounds like a porn name or something. You're like, did you make that name up? Is this like your LA actor name? And so Mike just came up to me and was like, what's up, man? I'm Mike Power. Like, we talked. And I was like, all right, dude. Like, Jesus. And from that point on, the people that Mike was managing, which includes a streamer named DJ Daniel. Some of you guys might know. Daniel's my homie. Daniel used to DJ heavy. He probably still does. But DJing is such a relative thing after quarantine. I'm always just like, really is a DJ now? But either way, my homies were these DJs who Mike managed, and we all started just hanging out a lot. So if we were at Miami Music Week, or we were at South by Southwest, or we were just in LA, or whatever it was, we all would go to each other's shows. We all would hang out. And there was a group of a bunch of different DJs who were just all kind of cool. And Mike ended up managing a couple people from that group, but Mike was managing some of our friends at the time. So my first trip to Miami Music Week, where I had like 5 shows in a week, and going to Ultra the first time, going to Bonnaroo the first time, going to Coachella the first time, doing all these things I never thought I would do, shit I've heard about for years and never felt real to me. I was like, oh, when am I going to go to all these festivals? I never see myself going to Chicago to go to Lollapalooza. A couple years later, I was playing. So I would go to these things all year round, all these shows, these festivals, and we'd always have mutual homies there, so we'd kick it with Mike. It got to be like, Mike was one of my best friends. I was even closer with Mike than I was with the acts that Mike managed. He's just my best friend. I had my own manager, had my own situation. Once in a while, we'd play shows together, or we made a little bit of music together. Low key, I made a song with the DJs Mike managed featuring Nipsey Hussle, R.I.P. Nip. True story. And even in my DJ era, I was getting those placements. One of my first singles as an electronic music artist was featuring Nipsey Hussle. Crazy thing. And another weird connection, I interned for Nipsey Hussle's manager when I was 18. Crazy. But either way,
yes,
at this time period, Mike just became my good friend. He was managing people I worked with, blah, 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 blah. So we would hang out all the time. If I was going out, or I had a crazy night, or I was going to pregame for something, or something really good happened in my life, Mike was one of my closest homies that I'm calling and telling. It just became one of my best friends. So at this time, I was probably at the peak, or around the peak, of me making electronic music. Playing 100 shows a year, nonstop festival bookings, show bookings, fucking branding opportunities, all types of random shit. I was really thinking like, oh wow, that rap shit didn't work out, but I'm still making music, I'm still making beats, and shit's happening. I'm paying my bills, I'm helping my family. Okay, this is dope. At that time period, I felt like the man. I'm like, I'm playing for 20. Remember playing for 20,000 people at EDC New York, and seeing a picture of me with MetLife Stadium in the background and 20,000 people in front of me, and I was like, holy shit. That's a lot of people who are waiting for Data Life so I can end my set. No, I'm just kidding. But like I remember playing for big crowds because it was just the time period. I'm not saying I was bringing 20,000 people to a show. What I'm saying is this type of music was so hype that even if you were a young DJ, you might end up on the opening slot of a gigantic stage, and you might be playing for 10,000, 20,000 fucking people. So I remember playing these big ass shows and being like, wow, music did not go the way I thought it was going, but this is pretty cool. Standing on stage in front of 500 people is cool. 100 people is cool, let alone 10,000, 20,000 people. I think the biggest crowd I ever did was like that 20,000. But someone said the laptop on stage days. Not even a laptop. I would show up to gigs with a USB stick and headphones and nothing else. Crazy era. The fact that people thought those DJ sets were going to keep costing that much money for 10 years, are you guys fucking dumb? None of you should invest in crypto. None of the promoters from the EDM world should invest in crypto. People were paying fucking Calvin Harris $750,000 a night to show up with a USB stick in Vegas. Granted, the guy has a lot of hits, but there's a lot of people who don't have a lot of hits who are doing that. And fucking your Swedish House Mafia, they were getting damn near $1 million to DJ for an hour and a half with a USB stick. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. This is not an exaggeration. In 2012, 13, 14, when I first started DJing, people were getting upwards of $500,000 to play big room house in Vegas clubs for an hour off a USB. Not kidding. Not even their own songs. People who don't even produce. People who just have big names, buy Ghost Production, and then play all other people's songs and then their one single. This was the norm. This is not a crazy, weird, secret thing I'm talking about. This was absolutely the norm. If you've ever been to EDC, if you ever went and saw DJs at Lollapalooza, at Bonnaroo, at fucking Coachella, at whatever, a lot of the DJs you're watching are playing 90% other people's music, maybe 8 songs of theirs on a good night, and then just all remixes and random other shit the whole night. You're just watching someone with a USB play a bunch of other songs. That's what it is. I'm not saying people don't put amazing sets together. I'm not saying I love to DJ. I DJ too. But it's what it is. I was going on stage with a USB stick and just playing a bunch of fucking songs. Someone said, don't forget Hardwell. Where the fuck is that guy, huh? Probably so rich, but where the fuck is that guy? In this era, even how it sounds now is crazy. I remember being like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Can't believe this is how I'm paying my bills. Someone said, Kenny, do you like Shlomo? I think Shlomo is an innovator. But regardless, this era was real fucked up. And I remember Mike was managing some DJs, but I remember feeling like, hey, Mike's my homie, but like I wouldn't let Mike manage me. I'm getting too much money. Like I'm going too crazy. Like I don't think Mike work with us. We got too many big dreams. We got all this. I was a fucking idiot. Mike was managing some other DJs, but I felt like what we were doing was even crazier and we were making more bread and this and that. So I just saw Mike as like my homie. And I remember going to Mike like, hey, why'd you book them 3 connecting flights? Like you need to get on your management shit. And I would shit on Mike and literally he'd be like, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, I got this. Like, we're going to throw a festival in 3 years. How the tables turned from that era. When I'm on stage and all these fucking people and I feel like I'm hot shit and this and that. And I'm telling my friend he could be a better manager. How the fucking tables turned. Hold on, PM Kiosk. I'm about to ban you just because you think you're funny. But you're not funny. None of your friends think you're funny. So what happened was, whether it's my own doing, whether it was the scene, whether it was the duo I was in falling apart, my music wasn't doing what it was in 2014. The scene was getting smaller. The bookings were getting less and less. There was new things happening. Marshmallows happening. Slushies happening. There's this new scene. EDM trap shit or whatever the fuck you want to call it is getting less and less and less and less important to people. The UK is already over it. Asia, like, seemed like Japan and China were just starting to book a lot of stuff. So I was going on random Asia tours and Australian tours, but wasn't getting the same festival bookings that I was. I'm starting to turn like 24, 25. Around this time, my best friend Mike starts managing a group called Vendetta. They signed to Owsla, starts working with all the people at Owsla all the time. He's around Skrillex every fucking day, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Then there becomes an era known as, to many people, the Carmack era, around 2014. Mr. Carmack was this producer from Hawaii, or maybe the Bay. No one really knew. He just started dropping music. And then he dropped 50 songs in a year. And then he dropped 100 songs in that same year. And then he dropped 150 songs. And people started going, yo, who the fuck is this producer? How can he make like unbelievable like samba music back to back with crazy trap shit, back to back with like cool house shit, back to back with a Drake remix? Carmack and Jemba Jemba both. Jemba Jemba was doing Climax for Usher as well as like the coolest like weird like Selection Team Supreme parties. Like it was a really interesting era, and Carmack was undisputed just the hottest shit. The biggest DJs on the biggest stages of the biggest festivals were playing his songs. From what I understand, the Kendricks and the big rappers of the world, TDEs were trying to reach out to him, and all types of labels were trying to reach out to him. He didn't give a fuck. Carmack's just different. Aaron is just different. He didn't pull up whenever people would call him. Big rappers would call him. He wouldn't answer. He would show up to shows, and everybody would be dying for him to play a DJ set, and he'd play one song off his iTunes and then stop and then drink a beer for 3 seconds and then play a different beat off his iTunes, and everyone would be like, yo, who the fuck is this kid? Like, he's unbelievable, but he don't conform. Like, he don't answer anybody's phone calls. He don't pull up to the shows that he's booked for. Like, all these huge people are trying to get him on the phone, and he just hangs up on them. Like, what is the vibe? Somehow, Aaron and my best friend at the time, Mike, just started hanging out, started getting cool, started being at the same parties, whatever. And it seemed like it got to the point where Carmack was just getting hit up so much, and he just goes, "Hey, Mike, like, will you deal with this dude?" Or, "Hey, Mike, will you just handle this phone call?" Kind of vibe. Not like, "Hey, I need a manager, man. I don't want anyone else to manage me. Will you be my manager?" It was just like, Carmack and Mike were cool. Mike was around a bunch. Once in a while, Mike would handle something for him, handle an email, handle a phone call, this and that. Cut to 6 months later, my best friend is managing the hottest producer in LA. And it's really my best friend, someone I spend all my time with, this and that. Mike starts managing Carmack. And at this time, me and Mike got in a little beef. We weren't like not talking, but we got in this big argument. We kind of didn't really hang out for a couple months. In about a 6-month span of like me and my homie just being like salty with each other, he changed his whole fucking life. And he went from managing a couple of DJs who were doing well and making some money and being around cool people to managing the one person that every brand, every big artist, every big festival, they were trying to get their hands on Carmack, and the only person they could reach was Mike. You know what that does when you're a manager, when you start managing the hottest young person? You're instantly in the biggest conversations. You're in the biggest conversations with CEOs, biggest conversations with labels, all these kind of fucking the Red Bulls of the world and the Yerba Mates of the world and the liquor companies. They're all coming at you like, "Hey, we should do a thing, blah, blah, blah." And my best homie, who I used to tell, "Hey, I don't know if you should be a manager, bro, this and that," he became one of the most popping, hot, young managers at the time. Everybody was hitting him. When I would hang out with Mike, I would be so fucking jealous because I'm doing my same career. I was now a solo artist. I was in a duo. I became a solo artist. I'm still making electronic music. I wish I was making rap music. I wish I was producing for artists, but I'm still playing these shows, doing releases with like Ultra Records and fucking Mad Decent and all this kind of shit. And I'm like, man, I want to do what Mike's doing. Mike's managing this cool producer who can go play at EDC and then the next day go play at Coachella and then the next day go work with the Anderson .Paak and then the next day go do this. Like, I was dying to do what my best friend was doing. And I was sitting there like, yo, like, Mike knows everybody I want to meet. Every artist I want to work with, Mike's got a picture with them now. Like, they calling him, they commented on his photos. I was like, yo, what the fuck? My best homie, who I was like, yo, I don't know if you're cut out for this. He was way more cut out for it than me or my manager. Mike started coming by when I was in the pit of depression. A way y'all have never seen me. You've never seen the look on my face or the type of fucking outfits or the type of shit I was saying. It wouldn't even seem like me. If you guys saw how I was acting, how I was talking, and where I was at this point, you'd be like, that's not even Kenny. Because y'all only know me now. You know what I mean? Like, I was sick. I hated myself. I hated the music I was coming back. Someone said, "So you've come crawling back, Mike." No, Mike never tried to manage me. He was always just my friend. He never, ever, ever tried to work with me, ever. We were just friends. And so I was literally the saddest, most depressed, most I hated myself ever in my life. Wake up in the morning, fucking cry. I don't care what rapper or what tough person sees this. I would wake up in the morning and want to die. I hated myself. I was like, yo, you spent 25 years playing instruments, talking all this shit, doing all this shit. What do you really got to show? Like, what's an amazing song you got? You keep saying you got this one Kendrick record. Every time that song comes on, nobody fucking remembers it. What do you have to show at 25? You've been doing all these festivals. Yeah, cool. Everybody's playing festivals. Any kid who's got an 808 kit and the right fucking Splice virtual riot synth can make something to go on a festival stage. What are you doing? And that's how I felt every day. I was like, man, I'm just riding this wave of this popular music. The shit I really want to do, I'm too scared to do because I think I'm not cut out for it or I think it's not for me or whatever the fuck. I was sick. But one thing I did do was I kept making music. I started trying to go to therapy. I stopped hanging out with people. I stopped trying to fuck anybody. I stopped trying to like go out to parties. And I would just go to the studio every day. So at this point, my what was my best friend is this huge manager, traveling the world, doing gigantic shit, crushing it. I'm giving up on my career, damn near not sure what the fuck I'm going to do with music. And mind you, this is after a couple of years of leaving Berkeley, getting an apartment before I even graduated, playing all these festivals, traveling the whole world with my best friend, meeting all these artists. I was on a high. I was like, what the fuck would you rather be doing in your early 20s than traveling the world with your homie playing music. I thought I was killing it. And then I realized at 25, I was just kind of riding this fad. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't innovating. I wasn't creating anything for myself. I wasn't valuable in any way that any other DJ wasn't valuable. I was just like everybody else. I was a C-list, D-list DJ. So I wouldn't hit anybody back. And people would say, hey, Kenny, come out to this. Hey, Kenny, come to this party. Hey, Kenny, what are you doing tonight? Yo, we're doing this. We're doing this. You want to come to this show? Blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, no, I'm not going. I don't want to come out. Sorry, I don't feel like it. People stop calling you if you tell them you don't want to go to something 10 times. If you're being the person who's very inside and not telling anybody how you feel, and you're upset and you're just being short with your friends and you're not telling them you feel like shit and you're not telling them you're having anxiety about social shit, you're not telling them that you hate yourself, people are going to stop calling. They're going to stop texting. Someone said they should keep calling. Should they though? Because if I tell someone 10 times not to do something, I don't want them to do it an 11th time. So why are they supposed to know that when I'm sad, I really want you to come that 11th time and tell me, no, I'm picking you up by your bootstraps? If you tell your friends, yo, don't do this once, they shouldn't do it. If they really care about what you're saying or they believe what you're saying. So why are you going to tell someone, yo, 10 times, no, I'm good. No, don't worry about me. No, I don't want to go to that. No, I don't feel like coming out. No, thanks for inviting me. You expect them to keep inviting you? They're not going to keep inviting you. They're going to go, let me just respect. I really wish they would come. They are. I know you in your head think they don't want me to come. They're just inviting me to be nice. They're just saying that I should go to this thing because they think they should invite me, blah, blah. That's depression. People don't go out of their way to invite you to shit if they don't want you to come. Unless there's a weird circumstance. People aren't going to call you and hit you up and see what you're doing and see how you're feeling, this and that. They don't fucking want to. No one has got a gun to anybody's head. You know? So stop telling people you're fine, you're good, blah, blah, blah. That's what I did to every one of my friends. I told every single one of my friends, yeah, I don't want to come to that. No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm just working on music. I was sick. I was fucking crying. I was depressed. I would stop a convo with somebody and be like, nah, I'm good. And hope that they would hit me back and be like, yo, you sure? I'm going to just come by and see you. Like, no one's going to fucking do that. You hope people are going to do that when you're sad because you want someone to pull you the fuck out of it. You got to pull yourself out of it. You got to say, all right, fuck it, I'm going to go. I wasn't ready to do that. Everybody stopped calling me. I was not, Kenny Beats, who has a bunch of friends who are artists, and Kenny Beats, who's deep in the game, who's been interning since he was 18 and knows all these people in music. Someone yesterday said, Kenny just had a bunch of connections because he started deep in the game and then he moved those connections over. That's what someone said under a post about the community that we've built. I was like, how do you think I got connections? I had to fucking meet people. I had to fucking get up and fight social anxiety to go sit in a room full of people who probably don't like me or have any worth for me and try to make these people want to collaborate or be homies or whatever it was. Like, I fought a lot of social anxiety to meet all the people I know, and now I can sit here and it's easy for me to talk for 2 hours about stories of people I met in the music industry because I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. Since I was 17 years old, I've been going to studios, getting shut down, wasting my own money to meet with people who don't want to fucking meet with me, getting the wrong phone number and being left outside. Like, I've been doing this forever. It's just I did this enough by the time I was 25 that now it seems like, oh, Kenny, you got a million friends. Now Isaiah Rashad's episode or like Isaiah Rashad's album or Isaiah Rashad's whatever the fuck is that's coming out is starting to happen or he has a new single or whatever the fuck. And people start going, yo, how do you know Isaiah Rashad for 5 years? Yo, how have you been friends with this person for this long? Da, da, da. And it's like, because I've been dealing with bullshit for a long time now. People weren't just right there like, yo, Kenny, we're your best homies. Yo, Kenny, we're going to help you get through this. Yo, Kenny, we're blah, blah, blah. So they literally stopped calling me. No one was reaching out to me. No one was telling me, yo, we need you to pull up. Yo, we need you. We want to hear your music. Guess who fucking called me? Guess who hit me up? Guess who was the person who, when no one, y'all don't know nothing about the cave, so relax. There's been a Zay Cave episode for 2 years. What's the difference now? It's still sitting somewhere in fucking some locked hard drive. But the only person who kept calling me was Mike. I'm being so honest right now. The only person who kept calling me was Mike. Everybody stopped reaching out. My friends who like also were going through it, who knew how bad I was going through it, they stopped hitting me. It's just the truth. I don't fault any of them. I don't fault anybody for me telling you 20 times, leave me alone, and then you leave me alone. Mike didn't leave me alone. Mike kept going, nah, I'm coming over. Nah, I'm pulling up. Nah, I'm gonna come by the studio. Let me just hear what you're working on. And he knew how to frame it because he fucking knows me. Like, he knows when I'm mad, or he knows when I'm lying, or he knows when I'm sad and I'm faking it, or he knows when I'm frustrated and I'm pretending I'm not frustrated. He's my best friend. Like, he's been my friend for years or at this point. So he knows I'm lying. And Mike came to the studio this one day, and I remember I hadn't hung out with anybody in a minute. I had seen a couple people for music, but I hadn't hung out with anybody for a minute. I hadn't like been in the room and just been like, haha, yeah, let's smoke weed and listen to music. I hadn't done that in weeks. So I had made hundreds of beats. Hundreds of beats. I've been making hundreds of beats for weeks and weeks. That's why I wasn't calling anybody, because I was like, nah, I need to get my beats right. Nah, I need to get my production right. Nah, if I'm going to quit the music I'm making and I'm going to try to really go produce for artists, I need to make sure I'm ready. You guys know how I am. I sit and practice for days and days and days. If I really want to kill something, I'm going to practice. So I'm making all these fucking beats. Mike came to the studio and I felt awkward. I felt like awkward seeing my homie. Anyone ever been real sad before, and then you finally hang out with your friends and you just feel mad awkward? You know, like, even just after COVID, you ever been in the house during COVID all year, stressed out, anxiety ridden, then you go hang with your friends and you're like, hey, this is my best friend, but like, I don't know where to take the convo. You know? And you just feel kind of awkward. Mike got to the studio and I'd been so depressed and like so in my head, just thinking negative shit for weeks. And so like, you know, when you're depressed, you make it worse on yourself. So like, if you're like me, get in the car, put on a sad song, you in your head like, guess this is it. This is life. Heading to the studio alone. Maybe no one will ever hear this song. No one even cares. No one cares about this song. Fuck it. You know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna keep to myself. I'm not gonna talk to anybody ever again. I'm never gonna say anything. I'm gonna be like Burial. I'm gonna just release music by myself and figure it out. I'm not gonna talk to anybody. I don't need friends. This is how my drives were every day. Just fucking so miserable. Mike got there and then I was like, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't like, hey Mike, what's going on? How's your girl? How's your fam? Whatever. I just started playing beats. Because I was just awkward. It's my good friend. We've already been friends for like 5 years at this point. But I just started being like, beat. And I started playing like so many random beats. Oh, I got fucking sinuses today. I started playing him all these different beats, like California shit, Florida shit, Texas shit, New York shit, boom bap shit, whatever the fuck it was. All types of different shit. And I'm not crying. My nose is stuffy. My nose is very stuffy. I'm making all these beats. And Mike sat there for like 45 minutes. And I'm just playing shit nonstop. I'm just like rolling through beats. Even if it was us, even if it was you guys in here with me, you'd be sick of it after 45 minutes. I can honestly say, I don't think anyone would fault me for this. I would be sick of just hearing 30-second beats from any producer. My favorite producers. If it's just nonstop beat, no conversation, like it just gets old after a while. You're just like, all right, like I'm not gonna like rap on these. Why are you playing me so many? So Mike sat there and just let me go through it, and I just played him all this shit. Let me tell you a transitional point in my fucking life. This is my manager's birthday, so we're talking about what your best friend can turn into in your life. Because this was not my best friend who knew everything about management. This was just my best homie, and he became the fucking best manager I know. I played Mike all these beats, expecting him to be like, wow, you've been working really hard. Like, what's your plan? Like, da-da-da. Mike goes, hey, this is fucking crazy. I think you could be one of the biggest producers in rap. Mike, look. Dude, I had been so sick for months, not playing anybody anything. Like, not even telling anybody, like, I'm about to quit all this music that's making me money and go try to produce for rappers and probably fail. Mike looks at me after I played him like an hour of beats and goes, I think you could be one of the biggest producers in the world. Dude, your friend saying that to you, especially your friend who's killing it now, I was like, because I didn't believe that. When he said that, I wasn't like, you're right. I was just like, yo, you really believe that? Like, you really think that? I couldn't believe it, because think about what we got to just to get to that point where we were hanging out. I didn't even want to hang with nobody. I felt so awkward just hanging with him. Mike recharged my whole battery in a second. He said, you could be one of the biggest producers. Mind you, when he's saying this to me, I'm 26. I'm like, you telling me this now, Mike? I don't got nothing right now. I got no, I could keep rambling about the fucking 5 songs I did when I was in my 20s. Like, I got nothing right now. What do you mean the biggest? Like, what do you mean? And you guys know me. I'm not trying to be the biggest nothing. I make a lot of music because I love making music. But having someone say that to you can change your fucking life, you know? Because it's if your best friend says it to you and they fucking believe it, it's like, no one on the internet matters if they not next to you every day. That's really my homie who I was with all the time. And he said to me, and this is my homie, so we're honest. We're talking about the people who suck. We talk about the people who everyone else thinks are good that we don't think are good. You're the most honest with your friends. And my boy was like, yo, you could really be the best. You could really be a huge producer. And I'd already been trying to be a producer my whole life, and the shit was not working out, you know? And my friend who was really in the industry, really knew powerful people, really did all this shit, who just a couple years ago was a normal ass manager who was making 5%. By the way, managers make 15%. Mike was taking 5% when he was managing some of those DJs when I first met him. Just trying to make it work, just trying to hustle. This dude, whose birthday it is today, would say shit to me in 2012 and 13 and 14 and 15 and 16 that sounded fucking crazy because he wasn't a big manager and he wasn't powerful yet. And he didn't have the ability to do the things that he was saying. But Mike would say to me, yo, we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, or this is going to happen, or this person's we're going to throw a festival, or we're going to start this big thing, or we're going to blah, blah, blah. And Mike, to this day, ask Dylan, ask Eris, ask Dom, to this day, Mike says shit every week. And we're like, Mike, shut the fuck up. He'll just say some crazy shit like, yo, like, what if we start a creative agency and build like a 10-story building with all these cool, like a Google campus around it, and then everybody in the Discord can come there after COVID, and you're just like, all right, Mike, that sounds sick. That costs $100 million. What the fuck are you talking about? He says shit like this, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then years later, things start to happen. And he's done this to me now, and it's happened. Someone said Discord HQ. It started to happen in my life now, where Mike goes, bro, I swear to God, if you put a GoPro in the studio, it'll go fucking crazy. Mike goes, yo, if we work on the creative for this album and da-da-da-da, I bet you it's going to end up being a way bigger moment. 777. Like, it's shit I can't tell you about, unfortunately. There's a lot of things I can't say. But even with, like, my publishing deal, my admin deal, or even with anything I have going on with business, Mike would say, in 2 years, you're going to be worth this much money. We're not taking this. Let me give you an example about Mike doing something just a couple years ago. So 2017, shit starts changing for me. 2018, I'm deep in it. I'm producing for a lot of fucking people, and all those people are starting to come up at the same time. I do about 100 songs that year that come out. People start coming to me to do stuff. This is pre The Cave, but people start coming to me like, hey, Kenny, would you do this commercial? Hey, Kenny, would you work with this brand? Hey, Kenny, would you be the face for this plugin? Like, da-da-da-da-da. And a big brand came to us and said, we're going to give you 6 figures for you to do this commercial. It's going to take 3 days of filming. You're going to have to go to this city and this city and this city. It's going to be about 8 hours a day filming. Then you're going to have to post about 9 or 10 things on your social media. Once a month for the next 10 months, you need to post something on your social media, on your feed. You need to hashtag certain things. You need to do all this shit. In my mind, I'm looking at Mike and I'm going, Mike, a year ago, I would have eaten shit for half of this money. Run it. Whatever. I don't care if they double the amount of hours. Run it. Let's run it. Run it. And I'm looking at this amount of money that someone's offering me to me, it's not making music. It's not like they're like, Kenny, make a #1 single and we'll give you this money. They're like, we just need you to show up and film all this shit and be a part of this commercial. And they're talking about a big amount of money. And I'm literally like, yo, a year ago when I was at $1,000 to my name, because I literally a year before this, I had $1,000 in the bank total to my everything. And I have a car, rent, studio, rent, fucking agents, manager, lawyers. I didn't even have 1/100th of the money I needed to pay off my debt and all the things. A year later, someone's offering me a 6-figure ad. Mike goes, no fucking way. He didn't even it wasn't even like a big thing. He wasn't like, yo, Kenny, I know we have to talk about this. I know this seems like a lot of money. Mike just goes, no fucking way. You're not doing that. And I'm like, are you dumb? Because you're supposed to be the smart one. Are you dumb? That's money. Like, that's so much money. That's like if I go do the right thing with that money, that could change my family's life. Like I could do a lot of shit. Mike's like, you're not doing this. This brand is fucking whack. You want your name next to that fucking brand? Mike goes, in a year from now, a brand you actually fuck with is going to hit you up to do something like this for more fucking money. And you're going to say, oh, sorry, I can't. I have a 10-month contract with this random ass fucking liquor I don't even drink. You're not doing it. I was salty for like 2 days. For like 2 days, I was going to my, no, it's not Fender. Guys, everything we're talking about is liquor brands. And we're talking about 2018. We're not talking about shit right now. This has nothing to do with Fender. I did Fender off the love more than anything with money or anything else, to be real. But Mike was like, yo, in a year from now, you're gonna get offered 10 times this. Watch. The way you're going, the way all these artists you're working with are going, the way everything you're doing is happening. In 7 months, we got an offer that was more money, and I had to go film something for 45 minutes, and I didn't have to post on my social media at all. Like 6 months later. Mike said a year. JD Beck said, preach, Kenny. JD knows the deal. JD's getting fucking money thrown at him left and fucking right, and JD's fucking barely 18 years old, and still, I've sat in this room with JD and had him tell me, somebody offered me this much fucking money. I don't think I can do it. It don't feel right. That's harder to do than anything in the fucking world. Anything. Saying no to money is so fucking hard when you don't have no money. JD just said, dude, it's so hard. It's so hard. I can't, you know how hard it is? I couldn't do it. If I was in JD's spot, I'm fucked. If I was in JD's spot, it would have been a wrap for me. This would not exist. No cave, no nothing, no songs. I would have fucked myself over. Somebody offered me the worst deal ever at 22 before I came to LA. I was like, let's take this shit. Like, let's go. Run it. 50% of my pub for life. Run it. Give me that 50 bands. I was ready to take whatever people were throwing at me. I've been selling beats for 4 years to make 4 bands, and I would make more money selling weed in a week. And I was like, yo, how the fuck am I going to get these checks? How does every rapper have a chain? I can't even get $2,500 for a beat. It's hard, and it's even harder when you're younger, and it's even harder when you don't know anything. And a lot of people get walked into contracts and walked into shit, and they don't fucking know better. And everything seems like it's okay, and then 2 years later, you're in a session with someone who explains it to you a way you can understand, and you realize, oh, I'm fucked. And it's the saddest thing in the music industry. And the music industry is built against artists, and it's especially against black artists. But it's very predatory. And so are so many of these things that come up as opportunities when you're an artist, a musician, a producer, a creator, whatever it is. Somebody might come to you and say, yo, we love this song. Can we put this song in a Kleenex commercial? Here's $10,000. Why the fuck would you say no? Oh, my song's gonna be in a commercial? I mean, like, I wish it wasn't tissues. I wish it was for something else. But like, hey, $10,000, you're gonna use my song? Fuck it. That song's not making any more money. Guess why you would say no? In a year from now, if Fast and the Furious wants to come and give you $250,000 to sync that, and they find out that a Kleenex commercial for 6 months has been running your beat, they're not gonna use it. Because they figure, oh, this is associated with another product. This is going to make our shit feel soft as a tissue. I don't see the future like that. I see, oh, you're giving me money for my music? Let's run it. Mike is the person who stood in front of me 100 times in the last couple of years and said, nope, 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 nope. And to this day, it's hard. It's hard whenever my best friend and my manager comes to me and says, Kenny, you're not doing this. Or, Kenny, we're taking this much money on this, but it's going to make sense in a year. It's why my shit has worked out the way it is. I'm not saying my shit is great. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's anything. But there is something different that goes on whenever I can be producing for all just cool artists who I find cool. Once in a while, I have a song that streams a lot, and I get so much love from all these different fucking faders and the complexes and the geniuses and all this shit. They give me so much love, and people produce Drake hits over and over and over, and I'm dying to get an interview for them, and they're hitting me up talking about the way you and Rico's relationship. It's like something about how Mike helped me build up myself, my community, the world around me, the cave, the community here, so many of these different things. This is Mike. I want to make beats and learn equipment, guys. Like, I want to be on here with an artist trying to make my favorite song to play in the car for the next week. I'm not thinking about my value as a producer in the industry. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to come off from a marketing perspective. I'm not thinking about what branding deal makes the most sense for me. I'm not thinking about this shit. Mike Power is the reason I'm here, the reason I'm winning, and the most inspirational person I've ever met in my entire life. In my entire life. He picked me up from being sick and depressed and hating myself and wanting to die and turned me into what I am now. And I've never been happier or more proud in my entire life than I am now. I had my 30th birthday this year. You know how shitty you feel on 30? You're fucking washed. I'm sitting there on 30 like, oh my God. You know how crazy it is to be turning 30 and I wake up on the morning of my 30th and Isaiah Rashad and Thundercat are at my house screaming at me. I'm like, where's the last 5 years gone? It's fucking insane to me where I was at 5 years ago and where I'm at now. And it's not me picking myself up in my bootstraps. I know you guys know me as Mr. Work Ethic, Mr. Motivation, all this. Now, like, I got all that strength from Mike. Mike gave me all this. Me and Mike had a phone call one day and he said, don't overthink shit. Wait, that's kind of tight. And then we started a fucking company. Mike's the one last year who said, you know what? Donating a percentage isn't good enough. Let's do 2% and let's do it indefinitely for the rest of forever. We're donating 2% of Don't Overthink Shit for the rest of forever. This is the kind of guy you want as a best friend. This is the kind of guy you want as a manager. This is the kind of guy you want as a business partner. You might have a best friend right now who's not a good manager, who doesn't understand the music industry, who doesn't know anybody powerful or have any connections, who can't see through the light right now to show you how you should move. But they might be your best fucking friend. And they might care about your shit more than anybody else. To me, that's what matters. My old fucking managers managed Steve Aoki and Blink-182. They couldn't do shit for me, no offense. I'm not saying they're not great managers, but they didn't care about my shit or understand it. My best friend understands my shit. And I'm sure your best friend understands your shit. So at the end of the day, if you're waiting for that big manager to come along who already has all these clients that you've heard of and understands the plan for someone like you, I would contest that. And I would say, the big person who has a bunch of big clients who wants to come work with you might be really busy already. And you might be their last thing on their plate that really is just bringing more market share in for their other artists because you are the new hot thing. And they might not be giving you all the love that you think you're going to get like their other artists get. But that person who is right next to you every day, who knows what you're going for, who knows what you're trying to do and understands it and understands that this isn't about making money in the next 6 months, that person might be able to help you build something new that doesn't exist instead of saying, oh, I know what to do with you. I know right where to put you in. You're a producer. We'll have you do this. We'll have you sell some merch, sell a drum kit on Splice. Good to go. Run it. Hope you do well. My manager created something different for me because there wasn't really something for me. There wasn't anybody who was working the way I was working. And I'm not saying it because I'm sick. I'm just saying I was just different. And my manager watched me do one project and said, nobody cares.
Yes.
Doesn't even matter if your name's on the project. You're not tagged on Spotify. You have nothing to say with the creative. They're probably going to forget to tag you half the time whenever you go to social media and shit. And my manager realized real quick, we're going to do this different. We're going to move a little different. We're going to make the relationship between the producer and the artist not just feel like, here's a beat, goodbye. Dots handles creative. Dots handles marketing and design and distribution. And Dots handles so many different things that when I come to work on a record, it's not just, hey, Kenny Beats is here to give us a beat or to record the vocals. It's like, I have Drew who designs. I have Dylan who understands distribution and merchandise. I have Dom who's an unbelievable creative director. I have Jams for logistics. I have Mike who's an idea man. Like, I come into a situation and work on music with someone. I say, let me introduce you to this director. Let me introduce you to this person for your merch. Oh, you need a therapist? I can have Dylan set you up with a therapist right now. Oh, you need better blanks for your shit? We can get you this. Oh, you've never heard of this designer before? Dom was showing me this person last week. Like, we did a fucking animation video for 777, and then a year later, it's like Party Next Door and Drake, Thug and Gunna, this and that with the same exact artist. Give Dom and Dylan and Eris and all these guys their flowers. You know how many people have copied The Cave or this Twitch stream? Like, all my guys are creating all this shit around me. If I came on here and I set up the Twitch stream, how many people you think would be watching the Twitch? I got a team around me. My manager said we are going to build a team. This is not about one producer. If you're Mr. I Make Beats and everything's on you, it's not going to turn into shit. That's why Don't Overthink Shit is what I do. It's not Kenny Beats. Very different. You never seen a Kenny Beats t-shirt in your life.